Today's topic is uncomfortable for a lot of men to hear, but it needs to be said clearly and calmly. Some women deeply like you, think about you, even dream of you, and still never contact you. Welcome back to the channel. Now, on the surface, that sounds confusing, almost insulting. If she cares, why stay silent? Why disappear? Why watch your stories, remember your birthday, and smile at your post, but never reach out? After years of working as a therapist, sitting across from women who were in love, terrified, unsure, lonely, and insecure, I can tell you this. Silence doesn't always mean disinterest. Sometimes silence means she feels too much. I've seen women break down in sessions because they couldn't bring themselves to text first. They would rehearse messages, delete them, open the chat, close it, and cry because they were afraid of being judged, ignored, or seen as too much. It's not always logical, it's emotional. One reason this topic is so controversial is because people love to label women as playing games. But as someone who hears the unfiltered truth, I can promise you very often there are no games. Just fear, pride, or past trauma she hasn't healed from. Some women believe that if they reach out, they will lose their value. Others think men should always make the first move. Some silently wait for reassurance you don't even know they need. And yes, sometimes she likes you so intensely that contacting you feels risky because if you don't reply, her heart takes the hit. So don't assume silence equals absence of emotion. Sometimes silence is a shield. In this video, we're going to break down the psychology behind this confusing behavior, why so many men misunderstand it, and what it means for you. Because once you understand what's happening behind the silence, you'll no longer feel confused. You'll feel in control. Fear of rejection hits women harder than you think. 1. Fear of rejection hits women harder than you think. A lot of men assume women are confident by default, especially the ones who seem beautiful, social, or well put together. But after years in therapy rooms listening to women who seemed strong on the outside, I learned something most men never consider. Many women don't reach out because the idea of being rejected by the man they truly want feels unbearable. When a man gets rejected, it hurts his ego. When a woman gets rejected, it often hits her sense of worth. I've sat with women who said things like, "If he doesn't want me, maybe I'm not enough." Some couldn't sleep because they replayed interactions, wondering what they did wrong. And the strange part, their silence made the men they liked think they didn't care. A lot of men don't realize that the women who stay quiet are often the ones who care the most. A woman who has no emotional connection to you can text freely, joke freely, and speak freely. She has nothing to lose. But when she truly likes you, suddenly, everything matters. The message matters. The timing matters. The response matters. And that fear of being ignored, laughed at, or taken lightly is enough to keep her silent. I've seen women type out long messages, pour out their hearts, and delete everything. Sometimes they check your profile daily, replay your conversations, and still never say a word. Not because they don't want to, but because reaching out feels dangerous. It's easier to stay silent than to risk rejection from someone who actually matters. Many men underestimate how painful rejection is for a woman. Most women grow up being told they should be pursued, not pursue. Some were hurt by someone they cared for deeply. Others were cheated on, abandoned, or forgotten after giving their heart away. So, now, they protect themselves by staying quiet, even if they're secretly hoping you'll make the first move. And here's the part men rarely think about. Some women don't contact you because they assume you must already have someone better. In their mind, reaching out could lead to embarrassment or being ignored, and they would rather keep their feelings hidden than risk being emotionally exposed. So, While you might see silence as coldness, distance, or disinterest, her silence might actually be fear. Real fear. Fear of not being chosen. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of caring more than you do. For many women, silence feels safer than rejection, even if that silence is slowly breaking them inside. She wants you to prove you care. Verse 2, she wants you to prove you care. First, this part confuses a lot of men, but it's something I've witnessed repeatedly in therapy sessions. Many women stay silent because they want proof of interest before they risk showing their own. It's not because they're manipulative or playing games. It's because they've learned, often through painful experiences, that giving too much effort to a man who isn't equally invested usually ends in heartbreak. I've had women sit across from me staring at their phones, whispering, "If he wanted me, he'd reach out first." They weren't angry. They were scared of being the only one trying. Some had spent years chasing someone who never cared. Others gave chances to men who enjoyed the attention, but never committed. Eventually, they learned to wait because waiting felt safer than reaching and being rejected. From a man's perspective, it might feel unfair. You might think, if she likes me, why won't she just say it? But in her mind, reaching out without knowing how you feel is like walking into a fire without armor. She doesn't want to text and get ignored. She doesn't want to pour her heart into someone who treats her like an option. So instead, she watches your effort, your consistency, and your energy. I once had a female client who liked a guy so much she would literally shake when his name popped up. She wanted to reach out every morning. She wanted to call him just to hear his voice, but she never did. Why? Because in her last relationship, she was the one doing all the calling, all the planning, all the effort. When that relationship fell apart, she blamed herself for caring too much. So now, even when she likes someone deeply, she waits to see if he chooses her. Not because she wants power, but because she wants safety. Some women stay silent because they're studying your actions. Do you reach out consistently? Do you ask about her life? Do you show real interest, or are you just trying to get her attention? Men forget that women have been emotionally misled more times than they talk about. Every unanswered message, every broken promise, every moment of being treated like a backup plan taught her to protect her heart. To men watching this, here's what's important. When a woman wants to see effort, she's not asking for grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Sometimes she just wants a simple message, a tone of respect, or a sign that she matters. Many women stay silent because they're tired of being the one who cares more. They want to feel chosen, not tolerated, valued, not used. So, if you're waiting on her to talk first, remember this. Silence isn't always pride. Sometimes it's self-PE protection. And if she truly likes you, your consistency might be the very thing that gives her the courage to speak. Her past relationships still control her silence. 3. Her past relationships still control her silence. One of the most misunderstood reasons a woman doesn't reach out despite caring deeply is the weight of her past. You might only see the version of her that laughs, smiles, posts pictures, and looks confident. But I've learned in therapy that behind that confidence can be a history she still carries like a shadow. When a woman has been hurt before, silence becomes her shield. Some of the women I've spoken with were once open, loving, and expressive. They used to text first, call first, plan dates, give compliments, and show affection. But the moment they were taken for granted or betrayed, something inside them changed. Not dramatically, quietly, permanently. They learned that vulnerability comes with a cost. I remember one client who described her past like it happened yesterday, even though years had passed. She told me she used to send sweet messages every morning. She would plan surprises, buy gifts, and show up for the man she loved. One day, she found out he was giving that same attention to someone else. After that, she didn't stop loving, she stopped showing it. When she met a new man she genuinely cared for, she couldn't bring herself to text first. Not because she didn't want to, but because she associated effort with pain. And here's the part most men never see. Women replay the past in their minds when considering a new connection. One message from you can trigger a dozen memories from someone who hurt them. A delayed reply can make them feel like history is repeating. Even the thought of reaching out can bring back the same anxiety they fought hard to escape. A lot of men say, "But I didn't hurt her." And you're right, but trauma doesn't check for logic. When someone has been abandoned after giving their heart, silence becomes their safety net. They tell themselves, "If I don't try, I can't be disappointed." Some women even avoid texting first because they fear dependence. You might think a simple conversation could bring you closer. But to her, it feels like stepping back into a world she barely survived. So, she waits. Not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much to risk another emotional wound. Men often mistake this silence for lack of interest, but it can actually be the opposite. The women who have been hurt the deepest often feel the strongest emotions. They're just more cautious with where they place them. If she never contacts you, even though she cares, it might not be about you at all. It might be the ghost of someone before you. And until she feels safe, truly safe, she'll protect her heart with silence. She thinks she'll look too interested. 4. She thinks she'll look too interested. There's a silent pressure many women feel that men rarely notice. The fear of looking like they care too much. I've heard it countless times in sessions. Even women who are deeply attracted to someone will stop themselves from reaching out because they don't want to seem desperate, clingy, or too invested. One of the most common stories I hear involves women in relationships who constantly hold back their affection. Not because they don't feel it, but because they've learned that being too available can get them hurt. I remember speaking with a woman who was in a relationship with a man she truly adored. She loved talking to him. She loved hearing his voice, but she stopped initiating conversations. When I asked why, she told me something I'll never forget. "The last time I loved someone this much, he told me I was overwhelming." That one sentence shaped the way she loved going forward. So instead of calling when she missed him, she waited. Instead of texting good morning, she stared at her phone and hoped he'd text first. Even when she was thinking about him constantly, she trained herself to act like she wasn't. Not because she wanted to play games, but because she was terrified of repeating the past, terrified that showing too much effort would push him away. Many women have been told directly or indirectly that men lose interest when women care too loudly. They've heard friends say, "Don't text first, don't double message, or make him chase you." Even women in relationships absorb this belief. So, what do? They hide their feelings. They quiet their excitement. They pretend to be unbothered, even when they're deeply invested. This fear isn't always irrational. Some women have been in relationships where they gave their whole heart, only to be told later that they were too emotional or too attached. Others were compared to exes who acted clingy, or to friends who knew how to act like a challenge. And from that point forward, they promised themselves never to be the one who cares more. So even if she likes you, even if you're already together, she may hold back communication because she thinks loving you openly will make you lose interest. She might sit on a message she wants to send, telling herself he should be the one reaching out, or if he wanted to talk to me, he would. Not because she's manipulative, but because she's scared of appearing too eager. It's important for men to understand this. Sometimes silence isn't emotional distance, it's emotional control. She is protecting her heart from the fear of being judged, rejected, or devalued. The irony is painful. She cares so much that she hides how much she cares. And if you've ever wondered why she doesn't contact you, even when the connection feels real, remember this. Some women would rather stay quiet than risk being told they love too hard again. She waits for the perfect moment that never comes. 5. She waits for the perfect moment that never comes. A lot of men don't realize how many women stay silent because they're waiting for the perfect time to reach out. In therapy, I've heard women say things like, "I'll message him when I feel more confident," or "I'll call him once I'm sure he wants to talk." They convince themselves that the timing has to be flawless when they look good, feel good, or have the right words. The problem is that perfect moment rarely arrives. I once spoke with a woman who had been thinking about texting a man she cared for every single day. She would tell herself, "Tomorrow, when I'm less anxious." Then tomorrow came and she still didn't feel ready. Eventually, weeks passed. She cared deeply, but silence became her routine. The longer she waited, the harder it became to break it. She believed reaching out too soon would look needy, and reaching out too late would look cold. So, she didn't reach out at all. The mistake in this mindset is that real connection isn't built on perfect timing. It's built on honest effort. When women wait endlessly for a flawless moment, they forget that men don't need perfection to feel wanted. They just need sincerity. But fear convinces them that one poorly timed message will ruin everything. This belief can slowly destroy a good connection. Men can't read unspoken intentions. They don't hear the conversations happening in her head. They only see silence. And silence to a man often feels like rejection. So, what should you tell a woman who waits for the perfect moment? You remind her that connection doesn't grow in silence. You tell her you don't have to say the perfect thing. Just say something honest. "I feel appreciated when you reach out first, even with a simple message. I don't need perfect timing. I just need effort. You won't scare me away by showing interest." When men say these things gently, without judgment, something powerful happens. Women start to understand that vulnerability is not a crime. They begin to realize that real relationships aren't built on silence and hesitation. They're built on small, imperfect acts of communication. I once had a client who finally gathered the courage to message a man she cared about. She told him she always hesitated because she didn't want to bother him. His response changed her completely. "You never bother me. Hearing from you makes my day." She told me she cried reading that, not because of the words themselves, but because she'd spent so long believing she was an inconvenience. Sometimes the most caring women stay silent because they think their presence might burden you. And the right thing to tell her is this: effort never comes off as burden. Effort comes off as care. Women don't need to wait for the perfect moment. They just need to know the moment will be welcomed. She believes you deserve someone better. 6. She believes you deserve someone better. This is one of the most heartbreaking reasons a woman goes silent, and most men never see it. Some women don't contact you, not because they don't care, but because they genuinely believe you could do better than them. They see your strengths, your confidence, your stability, and instead of thinking I match his energy, they secretly fear I'm not enough. I've heard this countless times in therapy. A woman will talk for an hour about how kind, intelligent, or attractive a man is. Her face lights up when she says his name. But when I ask why she's never reached out, everything changes. She looks down, lowers her voice, and whispers something like, "I don't think I'm good enough for him." One woman told me she deleted a message 4 times before sending it. When she finally sent a simple, "How are you?" she panicked and turned off her phone. Not because she didn't want a response, but because she was convinced he'd be disappointed to hear from her. That's how deeply insecurity can sit. Most men never know this is happening. They think silence means indifference. But from her side, silence is sacrifice. She believes she's protecting you from her flaws, her fears, her past, her insecurities. Some women think you've got your life together, while theirs feels messy. Others compare themselves to women they think are prettier, smarter, or more successful. Instead of trying, they convince themselves to step back. It's important to understand something. A woman who doesn't believe she's worthy of you will not chase you. She will love you quietly and distance herself loudly. I once worked with a woman who cared for a man deeply, but she never pursued anything because she felt he deserved a partner who was emotionally perfect. In her words, he's the kind of man who should be with someone who won't slow him down. She cared so much that she removed herself, thinking it was best for him. But here's the tragedy. The man believed she wasn't interested. He had no idea she was protecting herself from rejection by rejecting herself first. This is where men underestimate their influence. A genuine compliment, consistency, reassurance, or simple kindness can change the entire story. When a woman believes you see her value, she stops hiding. The mistake men often make is assuming women lack interest. The truth. Some women care so much that they don't want you to discover their flaws and change your mind. They push themselves away to avoid the pain of being pushed away by you. Her silence doesn't always mean she doesn't want you. Sometimes it means she wishes she was better for you. She likes you more than she can handle 7. She likes you more than she can handle. There's a strange reality a lot of men don't see. Sometimes the reason she never contacts you is because the feelings are too strong. When a woman is mildly interested, she can text casually, joke, cool, and flirt. But when the emotions become real, when she actually sees you as someone she could fall for, her confidence can disappear completely. I've seen this many times in therapy. A woman will speak calmly about men she doesn't care much about. No anxiety, no hesitation. She reaches out, she makes plans, she flirts without fear. But when it's someone who truly matters, everything changes. Her voice shakes. Her thoughts race. One message becomes a life or death decision because the deeper she feels, the greater the risk. One of my clients told me something incredibly honest. If I text him, I want him to text back. If I call him, I want him to call again. If I fall for him, I want him to stay. And I don't know if I can handle losing him. So instead of reaching out, she stayed silent. Not because she was cold, but because she cared too much. Men often assume the opposite. They think silence means she's uninterested, talking to someone else or waiting for attention. But in reality, love can make some women more anxious than confident. When feelings grow, so does the fear of being hurt. If she texts and you don't reply fast enough, her mind starts spinning. If she calls and your voice sounds different, she overthinks. The deeper the emotional connection, the deeper the fear of losing it. I worked with a woman who used to rehearse what she would say before calling the man she cared about. She would stand in front of the mirror, practice her tone, and still never pick up the phone. She told me it's easier to stay quiet than to sound nervous and ruin everything. She wasn't avoiding him. She was overwhelmed by her own feelings. Some women disappear not because you did something wrong, but because falling for someone makes them feel out of control. They don't want to say something foolish. They don't want to come off too excited. They don't want to misread your energy. So, they stall, hesitate, and stay silent. This is why some women only reach out once they feel emotionally safe. And emotional safety doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from consistency, kindness, and stability. When a woman truly likes you, silence isn't rejection. Sometimes it's emotional overload. Her feelings are louder than her courage. So, if you've ever wondered why a woman who clearly likes you suddenly goes quiet, understand this. Love doesn't always make people bold. Sometimes it makes them careful. And in many cases, the women who stay silent are the ones who feel the most. Conclusion. So, when a woman stays silent, it's rarely simple and almost never emotionless. Her silence can come from fear, insecurity, past pain, or feelings that run deeper than she knows how to handle. Some women stay quiet to protect themselves, others to protect you, and some because caring makes them vulnerable in ways they're not ready to show. The important thing to remember is this: silence is not always rejection. Sometimes silence is love without confidence. And when men understand that, they stop taking silence personally and start seeing the hidden emotions behind it.